All right, folks, welcome. Video Guys live from our studio in Mineola, New York. We're coming to you. Today we have a special guest who's coming in via Microsoft Teams today, and that's Gregor Jones from Panasonic. And we're really excited to have him be on the show to talk about the PTZ cameras and the Panasonic PTZ camera lineup. Now, I know we're having some video issues with his feed, so we're going to try to get that fixed up a little bit. When you go live, sometimes you lose some bandwidth at a certain part of the day that's not fun, and it happens. You know, I don't know if it's on Gregor's side or our side, but I know he's coming in sporadically, but the audio sounds great. So, Gregor, introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Gregor Jones. I'm the Territory Account Manager for the Northeast with Panasonic Pro Video. I cover all the cinema products, the broadcast products, and also the PTZ products. And I'm just super proud to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool, you're welcome. And let's go now immediately to the thing that I want to talk about most. Before we get into the specific Panasonic cameras, what I really want to talk about is the Panasonic advantage. There are different levels of PTZ cameras, and we sell them all, and we love them, and they're all good cameras, but I want to specifically talk about the Panasonic advantage. So we've got three main areas of advantage, and Gregor, I'd like you to address each one if you could. Let's try to see if we can bring him in and how his video is doing here, Adam, and hope for the best. And let's go with the first thing we want to talk about is the optics, that you guys have superior optics.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I think that one of the things you're going to get when you side with a brand like Panasonic is a company that is really good at a lot of things. Some companies are just kind of one-trick ponies, and they just kind of do one thing, and a lot of them do it really well. But Panasonic does a lot of things really well, and you know, developing our own glass and developing our own robotics and developing our own systems, and not bringing those in and trying to make them work with other systems, I think is a big feather in the cap. And when it comes to optical quality, because we do make our own glass and a lot of examples, and we also partner with Leica and others. I think Leica specifically is the one that comes to mind. We put the best glass in there, and so when you have chips that are really great quality, it's not going to matter how good they are if you don't have really good glass in front of them. And so that's definitely, I'm glad you pointed that out. That's a good example of where we stand out.
The next area I want to talk about that's real important is mechanics, and that's how you can operate and go smooth. And why I put this camera on me is a lot of the cameras out there are based more on a security camera model where it's presets and to be in a fixed location, so they kind of move like in a stair-steppy type approach, whereas with the proper controller and using the proper device, like let's go wide again if we can show this over here. This is a Panasonic mixer that we have on the table. This is a real nice sensitive controller with really good gears and action. You can do really smooth motion, almost curved motions and sweeps. Isn't that right, Gregor?
That's right. If failure's not an option, this is definitely the way to go. We have these on a lot of the really super professional productions, but it's definitely something that anyone can afford to put into their own production. When it comes to making an angular move, that's a big deal. Like you just pointed out there, to not be able to go at an angle is quite limiting. And so to have a camera that can do that is pretty spectacular. And, I just want to tell you that even though we're some of the smoothest and quietest on the market today, the new cameras coming out, including the UE100, which should come out later on in the summer, is actually going to be even smoother and even quieter. So, we're already ahead of the pack when it comes to that, and we didn't stop there. They're getting even better.
Third thing is connectivity. You guys support USB, HDMI, SDI, NDI. We'll get into that in a big way, NDI HX. And now you're adding SRT and other protocols. So you guys, wherever the industry is going, you guys are leading. And that's real important because you also introduce new firmware and new features. So the products evolve as they go also. So talk about connectivity a little bit, because the reason we started selling Panasonic cameras is we're the NDI guys. Everyone knows Videoguys as being one of the leaders in the world of NDI, promoting the technology, and it's a great match, and I'm happy to have you on the show, Gregor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You kind of said it all there. I mean, I would just say that if you were going to pick up a Panasonic system, you're in a good place because of the connectivity. And it's not even with just our cameras, but it's like the cameras and the way they connect to the controllers and the way they connect to the ROPs and the way they connect to stream boxes and the way they connect with, we also make projectors and displays, and you just find all these interesting ways that whenever you kind of, when you get into that Panasonic system, everything just talks to each other. Everything's quick, everything's easy. Yeah, absolutely. And, for what you just said there, I'm proud to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me, for sure.
Now I'm up to the slide of the 2020 Pro PTZ camera lineup, and it's a pretty extensive lineup. We're going to bring that up full speed. Why don't you start with, I'm going to start with the AW-UE4 because we're talking about that in depth, but that's actually an ePTZ product, so it doesn't actually have a robotic head. It works through electronics to move it around. But why don't you start with the HE38 and walk us quickly through the product line. We're going to go more in depth in a second.
So you want to start with the 38?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 38 is interesting. I would consider that an entry-level camera. But if you really check it out, I mean, it has all the same features as all the standard models when it comes to, like we were just talking about, connectivity. I mean, you can control that with an RP150, you can control it with the HLC100. It does all the, control centers, the software. It has the GUI. Obviously, they all have the GUIs built into them to control as well. But, at that price point, that is a heck of a camera to have, and especially if you're going to deploy it where you need a lot of cameras, because you need to keep that cost down a lot, but you really still need a good product. The 38's got the 1/2.3 for the sensor size, and it's going to be a 22 optical zoom with a 30 by intelligent zoom, and then the 16 by with the digital zoom. So if you're in a house of worship or a classroom setting, and like I said, you need a bunch of cameras at once, that's a really, really good option right there.
Great. So I want to jump in, though, and I want to talk about that UE4. Now, we're going to be doing a complete, what do we call them, Adam? A product spotlight on the UE4 very, very shortly on that product. But what I love the UE4, it's right here. So if we can cut to this camera, I can show people off. It's a super lightweight, small camera. Its connectivity is HDMI, USB, or it has a LAN connection. You can actually move this to tilt it up or down. And the cool thing about this is a 4K camera for under $1,000 that gives you ePTZ. That means you can pick an HD region of the 4K image, and you can pick it as presets, or you can actually pan and scan and zoom through it. So we have a little video about that product. Can we roll that, Adam?
In image and audio for IP, we can change our streaming modes and also customize the H.264 or H.265 bit rates. We can also do things like image adjust, and also we could set preset positions. Preset positions are really powerful in the UE4. As I move the camera around, I can set a new preset by simply clicking set and then jumping to the preset as needed.
Controller, like if it was hooked up to the device we have right here, I could actually use it as a pan, tilt, and zoom. And Gregor, one of the things we like about that is since nothing's actually moving, it's beyond silent because nothing's moving.
That's absolutely right. And another thing that we find is because it has that wide angle, it's 111 degrees wide, people love to have it close up, right? So it becomes a really great huddle cam, webcam type situation. And when you have 3 or 4 people sitting in front of a camera, if one or, if a person isn't quite comfortable with the camera moving around and looking at them and stuff, this is a really good option because it's not moving, it's just way less intimidating. So it's quiet, it gives you a great image, and it just kind of works, and it doesn't draw attention to itself.
And you're right. With that wide view, it just does a great job that other cameras can't do because most PTZs just don't get that wide. All right. We started talking about the product line. We got into the 38s. I want to bring up this next slide full screen if we could. You talked about the 38 as the starter product at 22x zoom. Let's talk about the HE40 now. It's a little bit more robust, 1080p, 30x optical. Why would someone need a 40 versus a 38?
Well, if you wanted to go with a 40, you would go with something that, if you needed SDI, for example, I think, it's pretty much all the other specs are going to kind of be very similar. I mean, you don't get a whole lot with it, but you can get, it's not a lot different, but it does give you a few extra little bells and whistles. They are kind of similar there.
And then we've got the 42, which is a 20x optical zoom, but it's 1080p. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, so that one I think is where you get into whenever you need something that has gen lock on it. And so if you're getting up into something that's going to be a 4K, HD, but you still need professional, so maybe you're a low budget studio or a house of worship or something, that's a really good option right there.
And then we've got the UE70s. Talk about those and when those come in. That's 4K now, right? That's that.
Now that one's 4K, right? Not a lot of options out there on the marketplace right now, so that's a really good sweet spot, especially if you're talking about NDI. But just a great little 4K PTZ camera. And the really cool thing is because it doesn't cost you a lot extra, and if you got it in your head that you may want 4K later, but you don't really need it now, you can just put the thing in 1080 and use it in 1080 mode. And it's got a sensor and glass that's optimized for 4K, so you get a really great 1080 picture out of it.
Cool. Now I had Adam bring this shot up because I wanted to show. This is the HE42 product right here, and you can see, you know, this is a really nice, well-made product. It just really is. And I'm not going to put other products down, but I love the fact that you guys, it seems like you also get into a form factor that's just smaller than the other guys can get into.
Yeah, no, it's true. Absolutely.
And then we have the HE130, which is a 1.4 extender zoom, PoE. It was your best-selling 1080p camera. It's got P60, so it's good for sports. Talk about that one a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that one is, you know, it's going to be really great in low light. It's going to have all the bells and whistles. It's going to be the HD version, so HD professional. But that's a really good option. So if you didn't quite need 4K, but you had a really high-end, you know, HD production going on, that's a really good option.
Now, one of the things is all the cameras we've just gone through, some of them have an N series model, which means they support NDI. So let's bring this whole screen up, and could you first decode what the E, N's, and R's mean when you see it in a product, and then we'll go into some of the NDI HX that you guys support.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at a Panasonic PTZ camera, you can navigate the lineup just by looking at the model numbers. So when you see something that says, like, for example, HE40, right? HE40H is a good example, right? So if it's not an N, then it doesn't have NDI already preloaded on it. Still the same camera, but the HE does not have the NDI loaded on it. The HN does have NDI loaded on it. And a 40H is the one with HDMI, and a 40S is the one with SDI. And then if you get an HN40SW, that means you have an HE40 with NDI built in with SDI, and the W just means that it's white. And then if you put the K at the end, it means that you get the black unit.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about is if you already own a camera that you see has an N flavor available, you can go to Videoguys or the New Tech website. You can download or purchase the NDI HX firmware upgrade. It's $300. It's a great little deal over there. Now, let's talk about NDI HX a little bit. We've been big fans of NDI. Panasonic was the first, I'm going to say, broadcast level company to jump on NDI HX. You have a whole gamut of products here that aren't just NDI HX PTZ cameras, but you have controllers, and you have this this great little box. We're going to talk about the HLC100 a little bit, but why do you think NDI is so important?
Well, I think we're seeing NDI kind of have its day right now. I think that there was a time when you could just kind of get around on copper and everybody was doing things the old way, but now, because it's, you know, you don't want to go to the camera as you know, as much as possible. You want to stay away from the camera, and you know, streaming is such a big deal. And then getting all the cameras onto one network and streaming them all makes HX, you know, NDI HX super popular, or, you know, at least a really great option there. And so when we say we're all in, I mean, we're all in. We have NDI built in, like you said, our controllers, you know, talking about the HLC100, our PTZ cameras, some of our handheld cameras, some of our shoulder mount cameras. We think NDI is going to be a big deal moving forward, and we're all in.
Cool. Adam, if you could bring this slide up full screen for me. I just want to go through the NDI HX flavors of the product line and their price points. We've got the 38 at $2,400. We've got the 40 at $2,695. We got the N130 at $5,250, and the UN70 giving you 4K at $5,500. Just really fantastic lineup there. And then one of the things I want to talk about is the performance models. And can we cut to this camera? I want to show this product if we could. This is the big kahuna. This is the 150 model. And the 150, up there it is. We can see it over there. I'm moving it while we go and all that, and it's a cool product. But this is a product that this isn't just for houses of worship and corporate. This is being used in venues and concert halls throughout the country when we could have concerts and stuff like that. Isn't that correct, Gregor?
Absolutely, and I would even say up in the Northeast area, we have a lot of government, productions using it.
And we've got some famous bands out there. I know there's a lot of people in the jam band circuit really like using these 150s in their workflows. It's just a great camera. And listen, at $11,400, folks, it's a camera that's going to, it's got some cost to it. But I like the expression you use when you can't afford to fail. And that's what this is made for, the highest level of productions. You got 4K P60, 20x optical zoom, PoE. This is the Cadillac, I'm going to say Ferrari of our PTZ lineup.
That's right. No, absolutely. When failure's not an option, the UE150 is the camera to take. And not only does it have every kind of spigot you want, it has fiber, it has SDI, it has 3G, it has every flavor that you would want coming out of it, HDMI, NDI, but it does it all at one time. So that's a really good camera to have. Gives you plenty of options, and I've never lost a shootout. I'm not one to put down other brands, but I definitely would encourage you, if you thought you found a camera that was better than this one, turn it on side by side and see what you think.
And then one of the things I want to talk about is that not only can these cameras be used in a studio or in a bigger switcher organization, bring this up full screen, you can stream directly to YouTube or Facebook. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only does it have the RTMP, but it has RTMP-S, which is the new flavor that's more secure for Facebook. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, this thing is just ready to go. The encoders are all built into the camera. The user interface is built into the camera. If you're ready to stream, that camera just comes right out of the box, ready to do it.
Cool. Now in this picture, we're cheating. We're showing you two cameras that we're going to get to in a minute. I blew my script because I got confused on something, so I got to back up. We got to talk about how you work with video conferencing systems. And one of the reasons that's possible is because your cameras have USB, but they have more than USB. They have USB and they have the free virtual USB driver. Bring this up full screen if you can. Let's hear them talk about that USB driver a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The cool thing about having that USB driver is that you can set all your cameras up. And a really good example, and a lot of people that are using this are, education type facilities. And so, your cameras are up and they're on a network anyway, and they're just there. And so why not trick your computer into seeing that network stream as a USB? And then all of a sudden you're ready to go Teams, you're ready to go Skype, whatever your flavor is. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that we're really proud of to have in all of our cameras, and yeah.
Do NDI HX also to now supporting Microsoft Teams just announced they're supporting NDI, so we're really excited about how NDI is going to integrate with all this AV conferencing. So the whole world's coming together.
Yeah, minus the UE4 and the HR140, that example you gave, all the rest of the PTZs will absolutely work like that.
Awesome. Cool. Let's talk about some of the verticals that we see these products being used in. And I think the number one vertical we've seen an explosion of PTZ cameras is absolutely house of worship. Why is Panasonic the best choice for house of worship? Because they're the best cameras.
No, it's true. I think the house of worship business is a exploding business as well. They have a high standard. They have a situation where their video quality and their experience is going to matter. It's going to determine how many people come back and how many people stay engaged. And, when you're going after that millennial, group of people, I think they have a high expectation of video, production quality. And so with the Panasonic brands, I mean, you can get there. And so that makes us a really good option for that. Like, you were saying earlier, a lot of companies will bring, security camera technology up into a PTZ, but we actually bring our super high-end broadcast technology down into a PTZ camera, and it shows, and you can tell. And so, Catholic television, TBN, and then just you can go to our site and see a list of all the, big mega churches that are using them, but it's a great option for all the way down to tiny churches that just need one or two cameras to big mega churches that need a full-on system. And then the other cool thing is that when you get into a small system with Panasonic, you can always grow and you can always expand. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with low light capability, really great sensor technology. I just the other day fielded a call from a guy who's wanting to use our outdoor cameras, our outdoor PTZs for sports, which is really interesting. You know, it's just a matter of having a sensor that can really see an image on, you know, zoomed out. When you're really out there using the camera, it's one thing to sit in a you know, a room and look at a test chart, and it's a whole nother thing to be in an actual game and be using a controller that can actually keep up with people. Yeah.
Cool. And then we've seen this too, education. You know, education's gotten just turned on its head because the students aren't in the classroom, the teachers aren't in the classroom, and PTZ cameras are a great way to be able to follow a teacher, follow a lesson, and have it be a more, just a webcam alone or the camera in your laptop's not cutting it to engage kids, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I tell you what, if you already have Panasonic cameras and you want to try out some of our auto tracking stuff, you know, right now is a really great time to do it. You can get a 90-day free trial, whereas before I think it was 30 days, but because of COVID, we extended that to 90 days. And what that does is literally just give you the ability to take any one of our PTZ cameras, load the auto tracking software on there, and then you get to use the same, you know, technology that a lot of the facial recognition, you know, services in the world are using. You know, we own the company that builds the AI, which we use as deep learn in our software there. But that's a big combination as far as, you know, using our PTZ cameras. Yeah. We've already labored on how great they are, but also when you add in some of the software that we've developed, they're just phenomenal for education.
Now, I know I led you on that one, so I led you astray a little, but I brought that slide up out of order. But that's right, folks. Panasonic, if you've got the 150, the 130, the 70, the 40 series camera, you can actually purchase camera tracking that is AI, artificial intelligence based through the cloud that Panasonic is a part of. And it's super cool software. And if you're an enterprise level, there's enterprise level available for that as well. Correct, Gregor?
That's right, and I do want to just comment on one thing you said there, that there's no cloud involved. Believe it or not, we actually do all that algorithm, you know, voodoo stuff back in a you know, a laboratory somewhere, and then we build that firmware and we put it into your camera. So the AI is actually built into your camera, and you don't need to touch our base. You know, we're not pinging us. We don't need internet. You don't need any of that stuff. All that is actually right there in your camera, and just you own it. We don't look at your faces.
Very
we don't
cool.
touch your footage. Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about your control surfaces. You got a couple of pro level control surfaces. Now I want to just talk about your control surfaces. One of the things I love about them is the joystick control to me is like the accuracy of flying a drone. It's a different level joystick. You can feel it when you touch it. You know, let's talk about that a little bit. We've got the RP60, the RP150. Why don't you tell me the difference between the two?
Yeah, so there's an RP60 and then an RP50 and then an RP150. The 150 has the most advanced technology. It's all about those little actuators in the handle. It does cost more than the other two, but it also comes with a lot of really cool features. Like it has a monitoring you know, thing on it. It's a touch screen on it. And then when you get the 60, you basically get a really simple, easy to use kind of, you know, it's going to be a controller. And then the 50 is somewhere in between, so it's not a touch screen. I'm sorry, it's not a you can't do the like touch to focus stuff that you can with the RP150, but it does have a little monitor on it, so you can see in the menu options and stuff like that. And they're all great controllers. I mean, I can't say enough about them. I can't tell you how many times people come back and just love those controllers.
Cool, Gregor. And I'm happy to report that through the magic of a lot of hard work and grunt work, we've got your stream working better. So you look better right now. So you're back on camera.
Great.
So I wanted to make sure people knew that. So
Right.
we talked about the SF100 auto tracking software. Now let's talk about, Adam, can we cut to the overhead for a second on this? This is the HLC100. Now this is a PTZ controller, and it is a complete video mixer. You've got your zoom and your controllers for PTZ, but really, and this thing amazed me, it's basically a control surface with a TriCaster Mini built into it. Gregor, tell us about this puppy. It's a phenomenal value at $13,999.
Yeah, you nailed it. You can come in SDI, you can come in HDMI, and then you can bring in a whole bunch of NDI cameras. And like you said, you get all the kind of capabilities of a TriCaster Mini. In fact, we kind of collaborated with NewTek to build this device. No secret there. You can just tell by looking at it. It was just a really great approach to the market. Yeah. I mean, that's, and then, you know, don't forget that you can also stream live to Facebook, you know, Twitch, you know, Church TV, put in your own custom, you know, direction there and stream live to all those places at the same time.
And up to 8 NDI HX PTZ cameras. So it's really a phenomenal unit. We really had a lot of fun with it. We like playing with it over here. And like I said, you get all the goodness of Panasonic NDI HX technology with their controllers. And you also get that TriCaster feature set built into it. It's a tremendous little product over there.
Yeah, we love it. It's definitely doing really well.
I am so glad your video stream's working better, because now I want to talk about 2 products that I love. You know, you guys helped us get a CX350. That's our new studio cam. And I just think for $4 grand, I don't think there's a better camera on the planet for $4,000, period. And you can add NDI HX drivers to it, firmware, and come in NDI like we are into our system, NDI HX. It's just a tremendous camera beyond that. And now you come out with the CX10, which is a mini, you know, handheld camera. So I want to actually see, I'm going to be daring here, Adam. Can you take him full screen so he can show us both cameras side by side, because he's got them both there. So if you could get Gregor in here, and we're going to hope for the best, Gregor, but I like how your video's coming in. I'm going to let you show and compare these 2 products. All right.
So this is the CX350 and this is the CX10 right here. And you can see these are great little cameras. You know, using SD cards. I mean, they got all the right buttons. They got all the, you know, the rings where you want them, where you expect them. The battery life on these things are phenomenal. You know, there's so much to talk about these cameras. I you know, I can't speak highly enough of them.
We could do a whole show on them, I know, but we're not going to do that. Yeah. But I just wanted you, fantastic that we got this working in time for you to show both cameras together, because I really thought it was important to show, because they're for different markets, different needs. But we love both those cameras, and the CX10s are just starting to ship right now. I think we got one and we shipped it out. I don't think we have any inventory, but the 350 I know we have, and that's readily available.
That's great.
Cool. Now I just want to talk about what we got coming up on a couple new shows. And Gregor, thank you very much. I'm going to come back to you for a wrap-up call, so don't go away, especially since your video is playing well. But our next 2 shows, next show is going to be on sports. Sports are coming back. We're not going to have fans, but we're still going to need to stream. High school, college, D1, D2 league sports are coming back. We got some important announcements about some new product lines being offered really in the sports category by Videoguys. Now, these are higher end products that we're going to talk about that you may want to actually go through a local integrator, and we'll be happy to hook you up with one of those if you need it. And then we're also going to get back to the Ask the Videoguys show. You can believe it, we've been getting a lot of questions, and a lot of people have said, you know, you skipped it. When's the next show? Because we get great views and people really love those shows. We're going to go back to the Ask the Videoguys show. But now I want to go back and bring up the screen, bring up Gregor too. Gregor, I want you to talk a little bit about Panasonic's commitment to NDI HX, because we glossed on it earlier. I meant to do a little more on that. You were breaking up a little bit, but you guys, you're all in.
That's right. That's right. I hope my video quality is better this time, but you know what? We are all in. You know, minus the HR140, which is the outdoor version, and then the UE4, which is the, you know, the small entry-level USB camera. Every PTZ in the middle of that either has NDI or is upgradable to NDI, and we just don't feel like there's anything else that you know, could take that place. I mean, that's they've done the legwork. The NDI is becoming a standard. HX gives you the ability to put a ton of cameras on at one time, and we're, you know, like our tagline says, we are all in. And also, it's not just PTZs. Like I said, you know, the CX350.
Oh, grab it again. You know you want to. Grab it again. You know you want to. Grab the camera.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do, actually. These guys here. Also NDI. And so, you know, you can imagine what would happen if you were building a smart studio and you needed to have one camera that you could just run outside with and just keep, you know, and stay on the NDI network.
Yep.
So these are great examples of where our head's at and where we're going with that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Gregor, I want to thank you for being on the show. I'm sorry we ran into some technical difficulties, but towards the end we worked them out, which is what it's all about. You've been a great guest, and thank you very much. Want to remind,
thank you so much.
Cool. Go.
Okay. Oh, I just want to plug one more thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about, which is our iPad app called Live CTRL. We give you the ability to put all of our PTZs onto a switcher and live stream just straight from your iPad. So.
Very, very cool. We're going to have to do a product spotlight on that in the future. But thanks for being on the show. I want to remind you guys, Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, Videoguys Live. You give us 20 minutes, 30 minutes if I have a guest on, because it can never talk fast enough, or we always go over when we have a guest on, but that's why we love having guests. And I'm turning to the side because that's where I have a monitor with Gregor on it, and he's looking at me because we're using Teams. So I know it's confusing to the folks who are watching online, but great show, Videoguys Live. Please like us on Facebook, YouTube, spread the love. Also want to let everyone know the Videoguys website, brand new website, much easier to find stuff, works much better. We're really proud of it. Hit that up. Give us your comments and feedback on that if you want to. This is Gary from Videoguys. Gregor, thanks for being on the show. Peace.
Thanks for having me.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.